Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to use those skills we learned in the last section in order to help apply them to solving more complicated rational expressions. So, when you're dealing with exponents, the same rules apply to rational exponents as all the things you already know. The only difference is now they happen to be fractions. So, for example, when I'm multiplying two things together, even if they have a rational exponent, it's still actually the same thing. The way to combine them is to add exponents, which again, you know this, you just have to be able to apply it to rational exponents now. So don't be afraid of these rules. The rules are the same. Multiplying means adding exponents. Well, again, you might be a little intimidated because they're fractions, but let me show you how to do that on the calculator. So, on the calculator, the only thing is you want to be careful to use parentheses. So here, 1/3, and you want to add 3/5 to that. Well, that's kind of nasty. We don't really like that. But remember, there is a way to get the calculator to turn that into a fraction for us. Remember, if we go into math, to fraction, it actually turns it into a fraction for us. So, as a single expression, this would be a to the 14/15. And that's actually all that you have to do. That's it. Again, you just have to know how to type that into the calculator so you can add fractions easily. All right. Scooting down to ones that look like this. Now, when you see parentheses like that, think order of operations. So think, hey, I know how to simplify things because I know I have to deal with parentheses first. So let's take a look at what that means. So the 27/8, those can't reduce. However, x to the 5 divided by x to the 2. 5 minus 2, subtract the exponents, leaves me with 3. Y to the 10 divided by y to the 4. 10 minus 4 leaves me with 6. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify things inside the parenthesis first. All right, once you've done that, now I want you to think of that 1/3. I want you to think of that as a cube root. Okay, so remember, the bottom of a rational exponent means it is a root. So think of this whole thing as one big cube root. Okay, that's how I want you to picture when you have 1 over some number as an exponent. Remember, that bottom is a root. Okay, well, that means the cube root of 27, you know, is 3. Cube root of x cubed, well, 3 goes into 3 once. Cube root of y to the 6. Well, 3 goes into 6 twice, so that'll come out as a y squared. And on the bottom, the cube root of 8 is 2. So you can actually simplify this using those properties of radicals. So that's the power of knowing how to transform them, is because it actually makes things a whole lot easier for you. So let's see if I can do that same thing with this. All right, so looking at this, well, again, I need to simplify that expression first. So I need to simplify inside the parentheses. Well, remember, when you're dividing, you end up subtracting. Well, 2 minus a -7. That you might want your calculator for. 2 minus -7, just to make sure. So don't forget, when you're subtracting a negative, that's actually the same thing as adding. So you can still use that same rule when you're dividing. It means you're subtracting exponents. But when you're subtracting a negative, that's actually the same thing as adding. So keep that in mind. And don't be afraid, whip out your calculator when you need to in order to make sure that you practice or that you get that right. Well, now let's take a look at this. Power of a power. Okay, so power of a power. So remember, power of a power means you want to multiply. Okay, so power of a power, that means you want to multiply that 9 times the 2/3 now. All right, well, 9 times 2/3, that's going to leave us with 6. So if you can remember that rule, to remember that power of a power means to multiply, you can actually just turn that right into 6. Okay, so that's going to leave us with x to the 6th. All right, so again, there's some really heavy stuff in here, but as long as you remember each of these steps is not impossible and not too horribly difficult. So please make sure that you have all this written down. Again, these steps are very, very important. So please make sure you have all of them written down, and then make sure you ask me if you have any questions beyond these notes.